the nurses call the shots. I am your host, Charlene, the nursologist, and I am here to give you all the information that you need for this week. Sorry, guys, I have been a little under the weather lately, but today I shall say I'm feeling at least 70% together today. When you have things go on in your life, no one never really makes sure that you're okay. It's always people making sure others are okay. It's very important that we stick to caring not only for others, but caring for ourselves as well. That is a part of, life. Life is so special that sometimes we tend to take it for granted. That is not the way that we should be behaving at this time. At this time, we should be working together with everyone to make sure everyone is covered when it comes down to, um, different things that's going on, the way people feel. It's so important that we make sure that we look out for everyone. At this point in time, people are so into looking out for themselves and not helping others that are in need. And at this time right now, that's what we need to be taking a good look at. We need to be looking after people who we haven't seen in a while, people who we know need help. We need to go back to the old days when everybody used to look after everybody no matter what was going on. It didn't matter whether you had money or if you just had a prayer for someone. You know, back in the day, people didn't worry about that as much as they were having a given heart. It is something about being there for those who are looking for help. It's something about being there just to tell people about life. So today, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of what life is about, how you should go out and enjoy yourself, how, just living as good as you can nowadays. It's the best thing we could be doing. Not only that, looking out for your neighbor. Looking out for your neighbor is everything, everything. Looking out for your neighbor and looking out for yourself will keep you covered. And it's just like, people be so into themselves today. But let me just talk to you a little bit more about life. Life is something that is given to all of us. You know, it's just a matter of how you're going to live your life. And the way that you're living your life should be important, not only to you, but to others. And you know how they say living a good life? What is called actually living a good life? They do have definitions for that, like I'm living a good life. But what is it really about living a good life? If you don't have the things that you have prepared yourself to do and the things that you're looking forward to, then why would we ever think that we're all living a good life? Living a good life is having your health, wealth, and just being a good person all around. You know, Sometimes we take for granted what God has placed on our soul, whether it's to help others or whether it is just to help us. We need to pay attention to those things and make sure that we're doing our part. So when you sit down and you decide to define what life is about, go to my webpage. Go to my social media pages. One of them is Charlene Hara, a womana. The other page is the Nurses Lounge radio show. That is the one I would really love for you guys to go on. Because you can get a lot of information from that page. Not only that, you can learn a lot from just looking at someone's page and not getting wrapped up into social media as much. So, the definition for life is the condition that distinguishes animals, plants from inorganic matter, including the capability of growth, reproduction, functional activities, continual change preceding death. The second definition for life is the existence of an individual, human being, or an animal, a disaster that claimed the lives of a lot of people in America. But what we should be really paying attention to is how can we make a difference in our lives and the people around us, their lives as well. Because, we have to distinguish our purpose and what is significant about our lives that we can share with others so that other people will be able to gain or increase intention. The purpose of, core goals and direction in life is to sit down and make a plan. Make a plan on what you're going to be doing in life. Make a plan on, you know, who you would love to help in life. Make a plan that you check on your friends. I'm going to tell you, your real good friends, they not okay. They need someone to look after them and ask them if they okay. The people who act like they have it all together, we tend to think that they have it all together when they really don't have it all together. So those are the people who we should really, really, really be looking after and paying attention to. Those friends that we know that are secure, those friends that we know have it all together, those are the ones that are in pain. Those are the ones that are looking for someone to say, is there anything I can do for you? Are you okay? It's just the little things that you do for others that really mean a lot to them. And it don't have to be, monetarized. It could be a prayer that you call. And most nowadays people don't even look for calls. They look for texts, they look for emails, and social media has blown communicating so far fetched from what communication used to be. Communication used to be talking directly to people, um, going places and doing things with people. Now people do the social media. They have Zoom. They have all different types of ways that you can interact with people. And some people just aren't cool with that. Some people really truly want to have that intimate conversation with people, like they're really talking to somebody. Because I can tell you, some days I sit back and I try to talk to some of my friends and they like text me. In a text, you get lost, miscommunication in a text. You don't know if the person's shouting at you, if the person talking sense to you. So, sometimes I just don't even answer the emails or the text because they don't make sense to me, you know. But, I think we need to get back to old school where you physically go with your friends, go out to dinner once a month. I don't care if you go out to dinner once a quarter, but you should be having that same type of relationships with those people that you miss at any given time so that they'll know that you're still important to them. It's just the little things. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about grief. We're going to talk a little bit more about when your loved ones pass. We're going to talk about those crucial conversations that people really need to have. And when we come back, we're going to dive right into it. So right now, we're getting ready to take our first commercial break, and I'll be back with you guys shortly. So stay tuned. welcome to the Nurses Lounge, where the nurses call the shots. I am your host, Charlene, the nursologist, and I am here to give you actually what you need. Now, my opening statement was talking about life. It was talking about how it is so important to be very strategic about your friends and your family that you help. And your neighbors should be your number one priority because, they do have this saying that, you know, depending on your zip code tells how long you're going to live. So, with that being said, we need to get into talking about grief. We need to talk about death. We need to talk about things that goes on in the community. We need to talk about healthcare issues. We need to talk about a lot. Today, my biggest thing to talk about is grief. Grief in families. We need to have that crucial conversation because most people don't like to talk about grief. But grief really, really plays a tremendous problem in a family, because when a family is grieving a loss, there comes a lot of things with different people emotions, people reactions about the death, people coping mechanisms are disturbed. you know the process of grief may include shutting down, crying, sleep deprived or sleeping too much, overeating, struggling with anger, having those outbursts, being irritable, just feeling like you're alone. But I want to tell everyone that you're never really alone when there's grief because you have so many support systems. You just need to tap into those support systems. Some family members want to discuss the loss while other family just want to be left alone and just sit in silence. You should surround yourself with people who love you and people who can spiritually feed you because that's what helps to protect your well being and help you to protect the way you feel. Most of what I want to say today may rub some people wrong, and my intentions is not to do that. My intentions is not to rub you wrong with giving you some information, but allow you to be able to deal with grief and how to seek out help. We should never, seclude ourselves from other people when death comes. And grief shows up in so many different ways, conflict, discomfort, frustration. You know, Families tend to think about the wrong things. Sometimes family even say the wrong things, and sometimes you may have to correct them, you know. Different styles of grievance, fear that they may not be able to deal with the pressure, the fear of overwhelming sheer amount of emotional needs, while grieving, it's not easy. Some people tend not to do anything at all. When I say nothing, they don't want to talk to nobody, they don't want to get up, they don't want to eat. Those are the people who we should be checking on. The other day, someone asked me, if someone died, what do you say to them? Well, I can tell you what you should not say to them. You should not say, are you okay? I'm not okay. You should not say, if you need anything, call me. Well, what I need is for my loved one to come back, and you can't make that happen. So I don't think you should say that. The other thing they say is everything going to be all right. No, everything is not going to be all right. But if you want to lend an ear, then maybe things can be more comfortable for me, but they're not going to be all right. So, what I tend to say to people who, what gives them the option to speak to me is I'll send them a text and say, I love you. Every single day, I send that text. When you send that text to say, I love you, then you're opening up their wounds to be able to talk to you and let you know what they need. So it's not all about what you can physically do for that person. But if you tell that person, I love you, I'm thinking about you, those are open ended questions that you ask people so that they can open up to you. Don't be so quick to say, what can I bring you? What can I do for you? Most people, when they're grieving, they don't want to hear that. They really don't. So, what I want you to do is this is the opportunity that we can learn from each other. And the most important piece that I want people to learn today is never ever tell anyone who lost anyone, anybody, including um, people, furry friends. People, furry friends are family members as well. And I lost my furry friend and I talk to him every day. It's just something about when you have a furry friend, they become your confidant, you know when you're not feeling well, they can feel that you're not feeling well. And they can come and offer some assistance if it's nothing but brush up against your legs or they just want you to rub them. Animals are really, 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 truly man's best friend and ladies' best friends too. But, um, the first thing I need for everybody to do is I need them to get a piece of paper and I need them to write down, what does grief mean to you? What would you want someone to say to you if you were grieving? That will help you out with what to say to other people. Because the grieving process can go on for years, it can go on for days. Never let anyone tell you, why are you grieving so long? That's just like saying to somebody, why are you eating so long? Or why are you drinking so much? Or why have you been smoking for so long? So just think about those little things that you say to people that may weigh on you when you're placed in that situation as well. So, family members might wonder if an individual is mourning in a style or feeling uncomfortable, and you don't always have to correct them. So, people need to understand that everybody grieve in a different way. Some people grieve and they want to cry. Some people grieve and they scream. Some people grieve and they don't want no bother out of anyone. They don't want you to say nothing. They don't even want you to talk about the person, and especially not talk about the person in past tense. That is very important. Never ever talk about the person in past tense. If you want to talk about the days that y'all had fun and that it was laughter, talk about it in the present time. Don't talk about it in the past times, because that tends to make that person fall deeper into grief, because now you have lost your audience, you know. And the other thing that bothers me when grief has stricken a family is some people are willing to come around and some people wants to stay apart. Then what you hear is, if that person come and asks me for something, I'm not going to do anything that they need. Wrong answer. You should do a little bit more of what they need, because you don't know why they did not come around. If you don't ask the question when you're around them as to why they didn't show up, don't assume why they didn't show up. Some people can deal with death and some people can't. Some people have been taught to hold their emotions in, and other people have been taught to release their emotions. So, each individual have been trained a different way. So, in order for us to be on the same page when it comes to grief, then what we need to do is we need to support each other. That is so important on how we support each other and do what we need to do for each other, because that is not a good look. Um Give yourself some space, you know, when someone pass away. I don't care how much time you need alone. Tell your family, tell your friends. They give you that extra opportunity to be alone so that you can share a special moment with someone. If you don't have that time alone, there's going to be a loud outburst And, some people may look at it as disrespectful. Some people may look at it as uncomfortable. And some people may look at it as being disrespectful. But, in order to get respect, you have to first give respect. And in that note, I want you all to make sure you get this little list together because it's going to be very important for my next show where we're going to start talking about the process of grief. If you won't talk about it with your friends and family, I'm going to talk about it on this show. So, what I need you guys to do is I need you to get a piece of paper and a pen. I need you to write down, she's the boss. Well, let's go back. I want you to write down www.shesthebossradio.com. That's where I need you listeners to go next week. And we're going to start breaking this grief process down. We're going to talk about grief. We're going to talk about living wills. We're going to talk about um, health care wills. Healthcare wills and living wills and wills, they're all different. We're going to talk about those things because they're very crucial in our family, that we need to start talking about these things so that other family members will know what your wishes are. And they are so important that we talk about those wishes. So, right now, we get ready to take our second break of the day. So, you guys just hold on. Don't leave me. I have plenty more information to give you today. And we're going on a commercial break.
We don't break the laws. We just make up our own. The internet's best choice for music. She's the boss.
Grief is the response to a loss, particularly the loss of someone or someone living thing that has expired or passed, to which the bond or affection was formed. Because for me, working in nursing, I tend to, get connected with my patients. And when they pass away, I feel some kind of way. I feel like there's something missing. I feel like there is something that I should be doing or something I should be saying to their families, but I have adopted this new thing where I tell people I love them and I give them the opportunity to let me know what they need. You know, being a nurse is being in a very, rough spot because when it happens to you, you tend to forget about nursing, totally forget about nursing. And your mind go right back where everyone else's mind goes. So I just wanted people to understand that just because you're a nurse does not make you any different when it comes down to grief. You know, because grief is grief focus on the emotional responses to loss, grief. It also has a physical piece, a cognitive piece, a behavioral piece, social, cultural, spiritual, and physiological dimensions. Because it depends on your religion, how you react. It also depends on your ethnicity. It also depends on where you were born, where you were raised, what type of family you're in. Or for men and boys, it's different because people always telling them be strong, don't cry, don't show your emotions. Yes, men, I am telling you, men, show your emotions when someone passed. Show your true passion. Showing your true passion is not making you less than a man. Showing your true passion is showing your compassion to what's actually going to happen right now or has happened. How do you support a grieving family member or a friend? That is hard. That is really hard. Don't ask them, how are you? You already know how they feel because you know how you felt in that situation. The obvious answer is not good. That's what they're going to say, I'm not good. They shouldn't have to be asked, how are you? Because it is the same greeting you would offer anyone, and it doesn't acknowledge that you're a friend or that you're suffering or just had a loss. Offer hope, offer to pray. Most people won't decline prayer. They actually want prayer. Take them out to lunch. Offer to go sit somewhere and just open your ears and listen. That's what they really need at that point in time. They need an ear for you to listen. You don't always have to answer. And let me tell you, for somebody like me who has the gift of gab, I always want to chime in. But you know one thing? I sit back and I think, Charlene, don't talk. I be listening to him, but I be telling myself, don't talk. Just listen. Don't talk. Don't offer no advice. Just sit there and be quiet. If they want your advice, they will ask you, well, what do you think I should do? And you know what I tell them? You do what's in your heart because your heart won't steer you wrong. You won't be able to say, well, my friend told me do this and I did it and it didn't help. No. Now, you'll know a real true friend if you have a real true friend, if you have a death in your family, because they're going to be the person to stick beside you no matter what. They're going to be there for the listen and never advise. They are going to avoid judging you, because some people, they be like, oh my goodness, I wish I would have told my mom I loved her. Don't even say anything. Just listen, because they are speaking through their grief so that they can heal. It's nothing like healing, it's nothing like personal healing. You don't need everybody to tell you what to do and how to heal and how long to grieve and all of those things. So, here is some good things that they say you should say. What do you say to someone who's grieving? The best thing to say to someone who's grieving is, I am so sorry for your loss. It. Nothing else behind it. Um, I wish I had the right words. Just know I care. Or, I don't know how you feel, but I am here to help you in any way I can. That's not offering to bring you something or do something for you. That's letting you know that I'm here if you need me. You and your loved ones will be in my thoughts and prayers. Open-ended question. Open-ended, yeah, question. My favorite memory of your loved one is, like my aunt. My favorite memory of her is she would cuss us out and tell us to keep it moving, or go get this for me and don't touch it. Now, how you gonna go get something for somebody and they say don't touch it, but you gotta bring it back to them? I never understood what she said. She said, "Go get my pill bottle." I said, "Well, what pill bottle? You got a lot of pill bottles. The pill bottle over there that got the leaves in it, and don't look in it." How you gonna tell me go get a pill bottle with some leaves in it and don't look in it? Just bring it here. I'm telling you, those were the good old days. I'm telling you, when they tell you go get something and you know it's all wrong, but you go get it anyway because you know what's gonna happen if you don't. You can always say to that person, "I am just a phone call away," and leave it at that. If they need your assistance or if they need something from you, then that can give them the opportunity to let you know. So, a person here on live said, that is so true. Sometimes when you're grieving, the person who has transitioned may be may be coming through in your own words. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, like I say, grief is mm, it's a special, yes, it's a special, you know, thing. What to give someone who is grieving? Now that is hard. For me, I give plants. As a young child, we're told to take things over that person's house, like drinks, food, keep them fed, because that's something that they're not going to think about doing is eating. So you just drop things off at their house that they can use. When they have visitors, the visitors can get a drink. Everybody wants to have nourishments. When people come over, you want to be able to give them something. That is what you give someone who is grieving. People always ask that question, what do you give somebody? You give them the love from your heart. That's what you give them. You give them what you would want. Respect differences in grieving styles. Children within a family may have a widely different method of coping, and that's okay. If it is a family member who live distance and don't want to come home, just think that person may want to remember their loved one when they were living. Maybe they have seen so much death in their life that they don't want to remember their loved one that way. And we have to respect that. If you don't ask how they're feeling, you will never know. But we have to respect that. How to process complicated grief in a healthy way. Yes, order and timing is always precious. So, accept the reality of your loss. And sometimes that's hard. It took me like 12 years to get over the death that I was going through the grief I was going through when my mom died. It took me years, and still today I still grieve. And it's been almost 40 years. Yeah, almost 40 years. Allow yourself to experience pain. If you don't allow yourself to experience that pain, then how are you going to recover? You're just going to keep slipping down that slope of grief. But you have to allow yourself time to grieve. You have to allow yourself that time that you need to feel whole again. Some people feel lost without their loved ones, and it just depends on what that loved one did. If that loved one was the breadwinner, the bill payer, the family connector, the matriarch of the family, the person who keeps the family together, I call them the glue stick, you know, um, you'll be lost. You wouldn't know what to do, where to go, where to start, how to end. These are things that we have to talk about. How to actually help a friend with grieving. I think I have a couple of minutes to run through these so that you can get the point here. So, how to help your friends. How to help a grieving friend. There's 11 things you can do, they said, when you're not sure what to do. One of them is grief belongs to the griever. Keep that in mind. Grief belongs to the greeter. You're there to support that person. You're not there to tell them how to grieve. That's the first thing. You know, grief belongs to your friend, grief belongs to that loved one. Keep that in mind and you'll never go wrong. Stay present and state the truth. If you think it's going to hurt them, don't say nothing. You know how your mother say, if it ain't nothing nice, don't say nothing at all? That's what I'm saying. If it ain't nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. You can let your feelings get involved when it comes down to family talking about, well, this person didn't do this when she was here or he was here. This person, it's no time for blame games at this point. At this point, the focus should be on the griever, not the person. Um, don't try to fix or unfix things. Leave it as it is and just continue to go through. Your friend loss cannot be fixed, it cannot be repaired, and it cannot be solved. They have to solve their own issues. The pain isn't or cannot be better at that point in time. They have to work on it and they have to know when to go and seek help. Seeking help is so important. And I'm not just saying this. I am saying this for a reason because when I was going through grief, my aunt seen that I needed help and she sent me to get help. I'm telling you, if you don't think you need help, you need help. Uh-huh. Yeah. We get ready to go on another commercial break. And when we come back, I'm gonna run through the next 7 best things that you can do for your friend when they're having grief, because it's so important that we don't overwhelm them and that we don't overwhelm ourselves, because sometimes you can get so tied up into someone's grief that you forget who's the important person. The griever is the important person. And now we're going to a commercial break and I'll be right back with you guys.
We don't break the laws. We just make up our own. She's the boss. Boss. Radio Network.
Hey, 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 hey. This is the nurseologist on She's the Boss radio station. You need to come and enjoy the services here. You need to go on www.she'stheboss www.she'sthebossnetwork.com so that you can experience some of what I have experienced over these last 2.5 years, almost 3 years. I've had this radio show. I am here to tell you that you need to go on our website and check out all the other shows that are there. Check out where you could fit in to this family. This family is a lovely family. We do a lot together, we do a lot apart, but I am here to tell you, if you want to find out what your niche is, and if it's podcast, if it's a radio show, if it's even advertisement, we do advertisements here. We just need you. We need your support, especially on the Nurses Lounge radio show. I need your support to look out for advertisement during my show every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. Or you could even do advertisement with the radio network. Either way, it's a win win situation for me and the radio show. You know, so while you should never try to force someone to open up to you when it comes down to grief, you should always be respectful and let the grieving friend or loved one know that you're there to listen if they want to talk about their loss. Talk candidly about the person who died, and don't steer away from the subject if the deceased name come up. Just keep the conversation going. I'm quite sure that they will either say something to you that they don't want to talk about it anymore, or they'll join in and they'll talk about the good times, because I'm telling you, there is a lot of fun times. Now, getting back to these 11 things to do when you're not sure what to do when someone is grieving. So we're going down here to number 6. Anticipation. Don't ask. Do not say, call me if you need anything. Remember that. Never tell anybody that, because the friend will not call you. Not because they do not need anything, but it's because the identifying a need and figuring out who might fill that need is not in their energy, is not a thought process that they're thinking about. So they're not going to call you. So it may be you making that phone call, but what you might say otherwise is, will you be there at 4 p.m. on Thursday to bring your, take your recycling out? I can take your trash out. I can bring you a meal. I can bring you a couple of sodas and waters so that you can have some nourishments. Those are the things that you can say. Oh, well, how about I stop by and take your dog for a quick walk? Because those are things that they have gotten away from doing, that you may be able to offer some assistance. That after some period of time, when that grieving period is over, they can say, oh, I remember you came over, and thanks for walking the dog. Number 7, do the reoccurring things. you know really works when someone is grieving. Take the burden off. Tell them you love them. Tell them that you're here to. Can I go to the store for you? Can I pick up your prescriptions? Can I take your children to the mall? Take them to the playground. Offer some assistance. You know what they would need. You know what they do on a daily basis, and they may need that support otherwise to do. I'll even do your laundry. How about that? It's no big deal. You know, Number 8, tackle a project together. Depending on the circumstances, maybe they were home working on a task like planting flowers out front. Offer to come over and help them plant flowers. Offer to come over and plant a special flower for that loved one. You know, that is something that some people have gotten into outside of their house. They'll plant a tree for their loved ones. Plant a tree, plant a nice rose bush. Do something like that. Number 10, educate and advocate. You can never advocate enough for someone when they're grieving something. You find out that other friends and family members, casually acquaintance, ask for information about your friend. Be a great educator. Let's sit down. Let's talk about this moment. When you walk into a house and it's full of people there, and they're there because of a loved one, and you see that, most of those people that's in the room are, Christian, Baptist, or whatever their religion is, say, oh, can I say a prayer? If they say yes, then you will. If they say no, respect their wishes and say, "Oh, thank you." Um, Change the subject. But most of the time, nobody will ever turn down a prayer. Um, Number 11 is my best bud is love. It's when you tell someone you love them, it shows that you really care. But with the young people, they tend to get the word "I love you" mixed with sex. So I try to define what love really means. Love means that you're caring. Love means that you're sad for that person. Love means that you're happy for that person. Love means a lot of different meanings, but when someone is grieving and you tell them you love them, they feel like, oh, wow, this person really cares about me. So, being there just to listen, being present, being a friend, be love. Love is a lasting thing. I am here to tell you that love will last you, depending on who it's coming from. Depending on who it's coming from, love can last a long time. So when you think about grief and you think about what to say to your family or your friend the next time that they're dealing with a loss of a loved one, you think about the most challenging thing that happened to you and what you did for you to be comfortable, and you share that experience. That is how we all tend to get through. No one can make it through grief alone. So you just let them know that they're never alone. You know, keep it moving. Be their listening ears. Be there to comfort them. Know your role, though. Know your place. Know when to back off and know when to come up. Because it's a sketchy thing when it comes down to grief. Now, children, older parents, couples. You know, I think this month I'm going to make this a grief month where we talk about those crucial things. Next time like I said, we'll talk about living wills, we'll talk about medical wills. We'll even talk a little bit about how we can help our kids get along with grief because these kids are really hurting in this city and they're going through a lot. And we need to be there for them. We need to be the village for the kids. And sorry to let you guys know, but this show is coming to an end today. But like I said, we will pick up next week and stay tuned for the big surprise that's coming up next month that's coming through the Nurses Lounge where the nurses call the shots. I am your host, the nurseologist, signing out today. So if you would like, I would like to thank you again for tuning into the show as always. We enjoy spending time with all of you here. You're all our bosses. Because every one of you, whether you want to admit it or not, because of your business, because of you watching my show today, I can continue to come on and share with you various topics. My show is here every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. If it's something that you like to hear on my show, please go to the Nurses Lounge radio show. You can always send me a message through there. You can also send me an email at nurseslounge@icloud.com to let me know what you would love to hear on the show. And I will get that topic on the show. I will invite guests. If you would love to be a guest on the show, please send me an email or go on the Nurses Lounge and send me a message. But thank you again. Always, you can always email She's the Boss Radio at info@she'sthebossradio.com. You can connect with them on social media as well on She's the Boss Radio on Twitter. She's the Boss Radio. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Hope to see you and hear you to be viewers next week and listeners. Bye bye.